We're diving into a story so stunning and unbelievable, it will leave you speechless. Make sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell turned on so you don't miss out. Like this video, share it with friends, and let's unravel this incredible tale together. The detectives had never come across a case like this before. Today, we delve into a chilling true crime story that unfolded in the seemingly peaceful town of Lawrenceville, Georgia. Teenage love, often marked by its intensity and unpredictability, can sometimes veer into dangerously destructive territories. This emotion, a potent mix of tender feelings and passionate sensations, is often heightened by hormonal surges and evolving social interactions during adolescence. Each teenager experiences this transformative phase uniquely, navigating a tumultuous period of rebellion, self-discovery, and self-affirmation. It's during such volatile times that young individuals might engage in reckless actions to capture the attention and admiration of their significant others. In the spring of 2017, Lawrenceville was rocked by a series of brutal crimes that claimed the lives of two individuals and endangered four others. An elderly couple fell victim to a gruesome attack, tortured and beaten to death in a robbery gone horribly wrong. Two students suffered severe injuries but, against all odds, survived. Thanks to timely intervention by law enforcement, a further escalation of this violent spree was thwarted, preventing the young perpetrators from carrying out their full intentions. The central figures in this horrifying series of events were 17-year-old Cassandra Bjorga and 19-year-old Johnny Ryder. Media outlets drew parallels between their story and Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, citing a twisted romantic desire to end their lives together. However, the duo fancied themselves more akin to Bonnie and Clyde, despite their scant knowledge of the infamous criminal pair's actual history. Shockingly, their targets included their own family members, as they sought to eliminate those closest to them in a misguided quest for freedom and control. Cassandra and Johnny first crossed paths in late January 2017, introduced by mutual friends. Their connection sparked immediately, setting the stage for the tragic events that followed. As we examine this case further, we'll explore the psychological and environmental factors that might drive young lovers to commit such heinous acts, alongside a broader discussion on the impacts of adolescent turmoil. At that time, Cassandra was 17 and still attending high school, while Johnny had just turned 19 and was already going through a divorce. He had married young because his girlfriend was pregnant, but the marriage was rushed and ill-fated, collapsing within 6 months after the pregnancy ended prematurely. Johnny was immediately struck by Cassandra when they met. He fell deeply in love with her at first sight. Despite her small stature, Cassandra was a dynamo of energy, actively involved in Korean martial arts like Tang Soo Do, along with Taekwondo and Wushu. She had competed in several tournaments, but eventually gave up training, blaming her emotional struggles for losing focus. However, the real reason was her preference for partying over sports, which didn't align with her training regimen. Cassandra had a striking look and a way of drawing attention. She was adept at manipulating people, especially the boys who were smitten with her. Many now wonder if her feelings for Johnny were sincere or if she was using him to further her dark plans. Nevertheless, Johnny was completely enamored, ready to do anything for her, believing he had found his soulmate. Johnny lived with his mother and two sisters in his parents' house, whereas Cassandra stayed with her loving grandparents, who adored their only granddaughter. Their romance quickly escalated, and they soon introduced each other to their families, trying to prove their relationship's seriousness. Unfortunately, their families disapproved, which only fueled their frustration and resentment, placing everyone in grave danger. Individually, it's doubtful that Cassandra or Johnny would have ventured into serious crime or harming family members. But together, they created a perfect storm of circumstances that led to a tragic outcome. Johnny was deeply involved in his girlfriend's world, sharing her use of illegal substances and easily manipulated by her. Cassandra was the mastermind behind their dark plans, coming up with ideas that Johnny didn't hesitate to carry out. Cassandra Bjorga was born on January 19, 2000, in Peachtree Corners, Gwinnett County, Georgia. She was the only daughter of Amanda Sterling, who was unmarried at the time of her birth. Cassandra never met her biological father and had no contact with him, while her mother prioritized her personal life over her daughter's upbringing. This neglect led to Cassandra developing behavioral problems and aggression from a young age. At 15, Cassandra's life took another tumultuous turn when her mother married Stephen, a man who began to show inappropriate interest in his young stepdaughter. Cassandra tried to confide in her mother about Stephen's advances, but her claims were dismissed as lies, given her history of troublemaking and deceit. Desperate, Cassandra turned to her grandparents, Wendy and Randall, and shared her distress. Concerned for her safety, they decided it was best for her to live with them. In October 2015, at the age of 15, Cassandra moved to Lawrenceville to live in her grandparents' spacious two-story house. There, she had her own room and nearly everything she wanted, as her grandparents rarely refused her anything. They believed their love and care could change her for the better. However, Cassandra exploited her grandparents' generosity. She stopped her sports activities, frequently skipped school, associated with a questionable circle of friends, and often ran away from home, showing a cunning ability to manipulate those around her for her own benefit. Additionally, Cassandra began stealing money from her relatives to fund her purchases of alcohol and illegal substances. In one desperate moment, when she couldn't secure the funds she needed, she violently attacked her grandmother, threatening her life. From October 2015 to March 2017, the Bjorga family had to call the police over 30 times due to Cassandra's tendencies to run away, start fights, steal, and display aggressive behavior. Cassandra's behavior worsened significantly after she started dating Johnny Ryder. She brought him to her grandparents' house, declaring that he would now live with them. However, her grandparents, Wendy and Randall, strongly opposed this idea. A similar conflict arose when Johnny attempted to move Cassandra into his family's home, but his mother and sisters refused and forced them to leave. Frustrated and angry, the couple decided that they needed to eliminate anyone who interfered with their relationship. Their plan was horrifying. They intended to kill Cassandra's grandparents to take their savings, murder Johnny's family to seize their assets, confront Cassandra's mother and stepfather to settle old scores, and then flee to Florida with the stolen money to start anew. Cassandra was aware of a significant amount of cash stored in a safe in her grandparents' house, located in a closet on the second floor. However, she did not know the password. After realizing that money was missing and suspecting Cassandra, Wendy and Randall had started hiding it there. Wendy, age 63, and Randall, who had just turned 64, had been married for over 40 years. They had raised a daughter, bought their dream house, and planned to spend their retirement years together in peace. They lived in 2 adjacent bedrooms on the second floor, each with its own bathroom. Despite their inability to control their granddaughter's behavior, they were reluctant to send her back to her mother, hoping they could still influence her for the better, or send her to juvenile detention because they believed she could still be rehabilitated and didn't want to ruin her life. On the night of April 2nd, 2017, after her grandparents had gone to bed, Cassandra let Johnny into the house. Armed with kitchen knives and baseball bats, they quietly ascended the stairs to the second floor. Cassandra silently entered her sleeping grandmother's room and stood beside her bed, while Johnny went to where Randall was sleeping and began to brutally attack him with the bat. Disoriented and frightened, the elderly man was slow to grasp the horror of the situation, unable to defend himself. Johnny escalated the violence, standing over him on the bed and striking him repeatedly. In the adjacent room, the noise awoke Wendy. She heard the dull, terrifying thuds and a sound like a muffled scream. In the dim light, she recognized the figure by her bed as her granddaughter. As she attempted to rise, Cassandra stabbed her in the shoulder. Wendy tried to fight back, as the deep cuts on her hands later showed, but she was overpowered. Cassandra then dragged her injured grandmother by the hair into Randall's room, where Johnny was still attacking her grandfather. They bound the elderly couple with tape and continued their assault, demanding the safe's code and threatening their lives. Johnny pressed a knife against Randall's throat, yet the couple clung to the hope that their granddaughter would not go through with killing her own family. However, under Cassandra's command, Johnny began stabbing Randall in the stomach. A desperate cry from Wendy, pleading for them to stop, finally made her reveal the safe's code. Cassandra rushed to retrieve the cash from the safe in her grandmother's room. Moments later, she returned, triumphantly waving thick envelopes of cash, showing Johnny that they had succeeded in opening the safe. However, the ordeal for the elderly couple didn't end with the opening of the safe. Cassandra and Johnny continued their assault, trying to extract the passwords for their bank cards to access even more money. Wendy and Randall, realizing their fate was likely sealed, began to say their goodbyes, expressing their love for one another, a scene that Cassandra later recounted during her interrogation, finding amusement in their final moments. After obtaining what they needed, the young perpetrators first killed Randall by stabbing him in the neck in front of his wife. Then they dragged Wendy to the bathroom, where Cassandra brutally ended her grandmother's life with multiple blows from a baseball bat to the head. At one point, frustrated that Wendy was still showing signs of life, Cassandra complained to Johnny, who then slit Wendy's throat to ensure she did not survive. Following the gruesome acts, Cassandra and Johnny continued to live in the house, even as the bodies of the elderly couple began to decompose upstairs. They spent the stolen money frivolously, purchasing alcohol and various illegal substances. They reveled in their newfound ability to try everything they had previously been unable to afford, as they later admitted during police interrogations. A few days after the murders, Wendy's sister, feeling uneasy due to the couple's uncharacteristic silence and poor quality of text messages, which were suspicious given Wendy's known poor eyesight, contacted the police for a welfare check. She was concerned because the couple had not been in contact since April 1st, not answering calls and only responding via text, reassuring her not to worry. When law enforcement arrived at the house to check, no one answered the door, and initially, nothing appeared out of the ordinary. There were no signs of a break-in. The mail had been collected, and neighbors reported seeing the couple's car leaving for downtown in the morning. The police officer assumed the elderly couple had gone out on errands. Without a warrant to search the house, he left, reporting that he had done his job and noticed nothing unusual. Meanwhile, Cassandra and Johnny used the victim's car for daily errands. They bought groceries and alcohol, ordered restaurant food, and often left uneaten food to spoil on the floors, tables, and windowsills around the house. As the stolen cash began to dwindle, they used Wendy's bank card to withdraw money, but couldn't find Randall's wallet with his cards. About a week after the crime, they decided to throw a party at the house. However, they encountered a major issue. The bodies upstairs had started to decompose, releasing a terrible smell that was hard to ignore. Johnny found 2 cans of construction sealant in the garage and decided to seal the doors of the rooms with the bodies. First, they needed to cover up the smell. They bought several liters of chlorine bleach from a hardware store, poured it over the bodies, and then Johnny sealed every crack around the doors to the bathroom and bedroom where the bodies were. The couple invited their friends over, telling them that Cassandra's grandparents had left town for a few days, leaving her with a lot of money. They planned a big party with plenty of alcohol and other fun activities. However, the story raised suspicions among their friends, many of whom knew how often Wendy and Randall had called the police due to their granddaughter's behavior. No one was willing to attend such a suspicious party. Eventually, only a few troubled teenagers showed up, including some who could procure illegal substances and agreed to do so for payment. Even while intoxicated, the guests complained about the awful smell, which Cassandra dismissed as a clogged sewer. The next day, realizing it was becoming unbearable to stay, Cassandra and Johnny decided it was time to leave the house. However, they were almost out of cash, and the funds from the stolen bank card were nearly depleted, so they needed more money to fund their escape. This required executing a plan they had been considering for some time, which tragically involved harming more of their relatives. On Friday, April 7th, 2017, the couple broke into Johnny's family home using keys he had. They entered in the morning while his mother and sisters were either at work or university, managed to find some money and valuables to sustain them for a bit longer. To arm themselves, they acquired baseball bats and bear spray, a potent aerosol far stronger than pepper spray designed to repel aggressive bears. This spray causes severe burns, intense pain, and significant respiratory distress, potentially lethal to humans. They timed their plan to coincide with the return of each family member, intending to kill them one by one and then escape with the loot. They figured no one would notice the absence of the mother and sisters until Monday, thinking they had gone away for the weekend, giving the perpetrators a head start. However, their plan hit a snag when Johnny's younger sister, Melissa, came home from university unexpectedly early, bringing her boyfriend to have the house to themselves. Despite this complication, the criminals decided to proceed with their plan and added another potential victim to their list. When Melissa and her boyfriend entered and noticed the disarray, they immediately suspected a break-in. Melissa dashed to call the police but was stopped short. The room quickly filled with a harsh orange smoke that irritated their eyes, burned their throats, and made their skin feel as though it was on fire. Suddenly, two figures wielding bats and masked with scarves emerged and began attacking the students. However, the victims fought back fiercely. During the altercation, the attackers, overwhelmed by the unexpectedly strong effects of the bear spray, began to choke on the fumes themselves. Amid the chaos, the front door burst open as Johnny's mother, arriving home earlier than usual, entered. She screamed and dialed 911, prompting the attackers to flee through the kitchen door. In the confusion, Cassandra dropped the car keys they had arrived with, but fortunately for them, Johnny had taken a spare set of keys to his mother's car during the break-in. They used this car to escape, leaving behind the main evidence, a vehicle registered to the late Randall. The couple hadn't anticipated Melissa returning home with her boyfriend, as confronting and overpowering two robust young individuals proved more challenging than expected. The criminals hastily decided to eliminate the additional witness, but luckily, they failed to carry out their plan. They had overestimated their own capabilities and underestimated the strength of the bear spray. Both victims of the attack survived, albeit hospitalized with various injuries and chemical burns. Law enforcement, intrigued by the abandoned car in the backyard that didn't belong to the Ryder family, checked its license plates. They soon realized the car belonged to someone whose house they had visited earlier that week following a concern call, but no one had answered the door. Officers quickly proceeded to Randall and Wendy's house. This time, after no one responded to their knocks, they forced the door open. The moment they entered, they were hit by the overwhelming stench of decay, which was strongest coming from upstairs. In one of the bedrooms, they found bloodstains on the bed and floor and an open, empty safe in the closet. The door to another bedroom had been sealed shut with construction adhesive, making entry difficult and time-consuming. Once inside, the police discovered the decomposing body of an elderly man on the floor, his hands tied behind his back, showing signs of severe torture. The bathroom door was also sealed, requiring effort to breach. Inside, they found the body of the homeowner's wife. It was clear she had been tortured and beaten before her throat was slit, leading to her death. The house was in complete disarray, littered with trash, boxes, containers of spoiled takeout food, empty alcohol bottles, and a sink full of dirty dishes. Police had visited the house many times over the previous 18 months and were familiar with the couple's granddaughter, who was known for running away, aggressive behavior, and causing trouble. She quickly became the prime suspect in the case. But the challenge was finding the young suspect accused of such gruesome crimes. Dangerous guests. When members of the injured Ryder family learned about the grim findings at the Bjorga residence, they immediately named Cassandra, suggesting Johnny as her accomplice since he was deeply infatuated with her and likely to follow her lead. The young couple, now suspects in robbery and murder, were officially declared wanted, including the car they used to escape. After escaping, the couple stopped at a store to buy 5 liters of milk, hoping to alleviate the burning caused by the bear spray residue. Reflecting on their situation, Johnny recalled his best friend from high school, Jason, whom he had been close to during their senior years, but had almost lost touch with after graduation. Desperate, they decided to seek help and a place to stay at Jason's home. Jason was shocked when his old friend showed up at his apartment with a girl. The pair looked disheveled and distressed, but Johnny explained that they were in trouble after a severe argument with his mother about his girlfriend, whom she disapproved of. He claimed that his mother had kicked them out and used pepper spray on them. The couple asked to take a shower and clean up. Jason and his mother, being kind-hearted, allowed them to use their bathroom, provided clean clothes, fed them dinner, and even offered them to stay overnight. The next morning, as the apartment owner prepared breakfast and coffee, she engaged in friendly conversation with the guests, asking if there was anything else she could do to help. Suddenly, the sound of police sirens intensified outside. Police cars pulled up right below the windows, and officers soon used a megaphone to address Johnny and Cassandra by name, urging them to surrender. Jason and his mother were stunned by the sudden turn of events. In a panic, Johnny grabbed a large kitchen knife, thanked them for their hospitality, and ordered them to leave the apartment immediately. Terrified, the hosts hurried out as the criminals barricaded themselves inside, refusing to surrender and deciding instead that they would end their lives together. Recognizing their dire situation, dubbed a failed attempt at a Romeo and Juliet scenario, the criminals knew they couldn't hide in someone else's apartment for long, especially with the possibility of a SWAT team breaking in at any moment. Together, they retreated to the bathroom with a knife and inflicted several deep cuts on their wrists, aiming to end their lives quickly. As they were losing consciousness, Johnny used his phone to record a voice message for his mother, apologizing and expressing regret for his actions. He told her he loved his family dearly and regretted causing them pain. He mentioned that he was dying in the arms of his beloved girlfriend and that this would be his last message. Unlike Johnny, Cassandra didn't leave any messages for her own family. When police finally breached the apartment and forced open the bathroom door, they discovered the couple on the floor, lying in each other's arms amidst a large pool of blood. Although both were unconscious, they were still alive. Immediate medical attention was provided, and they were swiftly transported to the hospital. Upon regaining consciousness in the hospital, both were concerned about each other's condition. Johnny was the first to confess, expressing deep remorse for his actions. Cassandra, on the other hand, attempted to portray herself as a victim, blaming everything on Johnny. She claimed to have been struggling with depression for years, was furious with herself, and no longer wanted to live. However, during her recounting of the events, she inadvertently admitted to having long harbored a desire for her grandparents' deaths. During the interrogation, Cassandra acted childishly, complaining about the tasteless hospital food, making faces, and even flirting with the detectives. She only began to speak after officers brought her fast food, as she had requested. What she revealed next shocked even the most seasoned officers. When asked why she ended her grandparents' lives, Cassandra coldly replied that they had lived long enough and were getting in the way of her fun. She complained that they made her go to school and hid money that she wanted to use. She showed no regret for taking the lives of the only people who truly cared for her and was only frustrated that she couldn't find her grandfather's bank card. When informed that her grandfather had hidden his wallet under his pillow because he feared she would steal from him, she laughed and said, "Grandpa was always damn smart." The couple also confessed they wanted to kill Johnny's family because they didn't approve of Cassandra and tried to stop him from seeing her, thinking she was a bad influence. They rationalized their plans to rob the family by saying that dead people don't need money. They even planned to target Cassandra's mother and stepfather next, to get revenge for past mistreatment. After this, they hoped to move to Florida to enjoy life by the ocean and spend the stolen money. After their failed suicide attempt, Cassandra and Johnny met again months later in court. By then, there seemed to be no love or passion left between them. They continuously blamed each other, argued, and hurled insults. Ultimately, both pleaded guilty to the murders of the elderly couple, the attack on the students, and the robberies. The court found Cassandra Bjorga and Johnny Ryder guilty on all charges, sentencing them each to 2 life sentences, with the possibility of parole after 60 years. During the trial, Johnny showed real remorse and apologized to everyone he had hurt. Cassandra, however, declared that she had nothing to apologize for.